Hello my friends and welcome to Whilton Mill for the third round of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprint Championship season. So in the first heat I'm starting in 9th position and there's no dicks in this race, other than myself after this start, as you'll see shortly. And Whilton Mill is probably one of the only circuits on the calendar that doesn't really have a disadvantage starting on the inside or outside, as the first corner's left, the second corner's right, so you don't really lose much time on either side of the grid. But going up here, I didn't have a great start, but I just felt a little bit of contact behind it, sent me to a half spin and I get hit, and then to be honest, even at the time I was like, what the hell happened there? But thankfully this race was a live stream, so I can take a little gander as to what did happen. And yeah, I sort of got podlocked on the guy behind me, and the guy on the inside had nowhere to go but straight into the side of me. And if I'm honest, I do think I caused this incident because I didn't realise the guy alongside me was there, and I got sort of attached to him, which sort of slowed me down. And then, yeah, the guy on the inside has got nowhere to go but into me. So, yeah, I do take full responsibility for that incident. I do apologise to the drivers involved who had ruined their race. So, it wasn't the best start. And by the third lap, I've caught up to a gang of 3 or 4 drivers here. The guy directly in front of me is one of the drivers who came off, so he is a lap down, so sort of disregard him in this battle. But yeah, I managed to follow in behind there to gain a position up to 15th, so this race isn't completely over yet. I can maybe gain a few more positions before the end, and it's not too bad. And going down here, I've got a slightly better exit, having a little look, and they break quite early, so I can gain a position up to 14th. And the guy in front of me, I didn't actually know at the time that he was a lap down, so throughout this whole race I'm trying to race with him and just overtake him, but probably lost a bit of time in the process as well. But anyway, into lap 4, I'm quite a way back of the drivers I need to be fighting with in this race. So into the 6th lap, I have overtaken a guy who span out or had an incident with his own. So I'm up to 13th, and my camera is slowly losing hope because I didn't actually tighten it as much as I should, so my camera's slowly dropping down every time I hit a curve. So yeah, that's why the camera angle is a bit dodgy. But I'm on the tail of a couple of drivers here, and 11th place wouldn't be too bad come the end of this race after the start I've had. So going into the penultimate lap, I think Miss Millman up there has a bit of a slide coming out the first couple of corners there, so it slows everyone up by myself. I'm up to 12th, and by the end of the straight I'm up to 11th, which is absolutely fantastic, really. I don't deserve it after taking out 2 people, to be honest, but I'll take it. And yeah, I'm trying to overtake this guy who's a lap down in front of me, but to no avail at the moment. And yeah, going into the final lap, I've lost a little bit of time to him, but I'm quite happy that nothing happened on the last couple of laps there, because my GoPro would have had a genuinely an awful angle to capture any of it. But 11th place, I'll definitely take that. It's not too bad in the end. I'm not, still the possibility of an A final still there. I have some decent heats as well, so yeah, I'm not too disappointed. I'm happy about the recovery. So into this second heat, I'm starting in 4th position, and there's no dicks in this race either. I definitely should ask some more people to be dicks, see what they say. But yeah, I'm starting in 4th behind Mr. Kirkham here, who looks like he's had a bit of an off with the state of his suit there. But yeah, it's a half decent start. I'm just trying to stick to the inside as much as possible, and got a slightly better run up the hill compared to Mr. Albon on my outside there. But I'm unable to really hold this position because he's got a much better run on the exit there, so he's able to hold that 3rd position. And Mr. Albon is the only Class 1 driver in this race, so I'm thinking, is there a chance I can finish quite high up in this one? Because obviously Mr. Albon's going to most likely finish at least 3rd at this point, unless he messes up. But yeah, if I can manage to hopefully stick with him, can have hopefully a decent race. But already I'm dropping back a couple of tenths, but yeah, let's see how the rest of this heat goes. So by the third lap, more than expectedly, I've dropped back a little bit to Mr. Arwen in front. And there is maybe 4 or 5 carts like immediately on my tail here. Having a little look to just check to see where they are. And if I'm completely honest, the guys behind me are probably a little bit quicker than me. So I am probably a little bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment. But I feel like I'm still doing okay to be holding this 4th position. As we're moving into the 4th lap now. Yeah, I'm just keep having a little looks behind me just because, yeah, as you guys know, this Christmas corner is never my strongest, so I'm going a bit defensive in this corner here. And, you know, but still in 4th place, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I could finish quite high up in this one. But in this Ashby here, I just don't know, I just sort of bogged down in the exit, I just didn't get it right at all. And because I knew that, I'm going defensive into this corner, and I go for a slide, and just, yeah, it's just such a poor couple of corners. So Mr. Britain can make a nice, easy send down my inside here. And yeah, at this point, I'm just annoyed at myself because I've thrown away that position. It wasn't because he was quicker than me. It's more the fact that I made a mistake that I've lost that position there. So yeah, so at this point, I'm just trying to not make any more mistakes to lose any positions because. Mr. McWilliam is right behind me, and Mr. Martin's right behind him as well. So yeah, I'm just trying to make no mistakes. And into lap 6, they're still right on my tail, and going up the hill here. Yeah, they're just sort of right on my tail. And fortunately for me, Mr. Martin's right on his tail, so they're fighting a little bit. And Mr. Martin goes for a send on Mr. McWilliam. That's where I go a bit defensive. So with them fighting a little bit, it means I can maybe hold out for another lap, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to ask something that I don't usually ask. I'd love a like on this video if you made it all the way through to 7 minutes in. I don't usually ask for it, but it would really help out my my channel just to grow a little bit. I'd love that. So yeah, if you guys can drop a like, or maybe even a subscription if you haven't watched my stuff before. Yeah, I'd love that. So yeah, cheers. Anyway, into the 8th lap. Yeah, they're still right on my tail, and I'm thinking, please hold out, and I mess up this corner, just go a little bit too deep. So Mr. Martin, he's not holding back, he's sending a nice move on the last corner. I was like, no, which made me lose a bit of momentum, so I was like, oh no, Mr. McWilliam's right alongside me here, and I just beat him to the line. I was like so relieved, because I wasn't sure if I beat him at the time, because it was so close. So I had a little chat with him afterwards. It was just like, because he's in the Club 100 carts, there's 2 places where you can put the transponder. I was like, because I know mine was in the furthest back one, and his was in the furthest back one. I was thinking, if his was in the furthest front one, he could have beaten me there. Anyway, into the 3rd heat, there are 2 Dicks have made an appearance. Yeah, hopefully I can beat those 2, but I'm starting in 6th behind Mr. Newman, who's one of the 6 Class 1 drivers in this race. I wasn't expecting much at all after in this one, but going up the hill here, I was probably a little bit naughty. I've shoved him out wide, and I didn't mean to, but yeah, I was probably a little bit naughty to gain a position there. But I'm up to 3rd, and Mr. James Dunnett is leading this race, who I might actually ask to be a dick in the future episodes. See what he says. So him leading the race, I was thinking, right, I know I'm fairly competitive with him, so hopefully he's defensive enough to keep Mr. White behind, so I can maybe gain a few positions and maybe take the lead of the race if I'm lucky. But maybe I'm dreaming a little bit at this point. There is a lot of Class 1 drivers in this race, 4 of which are behind me at 5 of which are behind me at this point. And it didn't take long for Mr. White to send a move on there, James there. But I have a little look myself, I'm not close enough, but going to the 2nd lap, I'm still in the 3rd, and you guys will not believe what happens right now. Mr. White goes off the track, and James goes off the track, so I take 2nd off James, and I've got much more momentum than Mr. White, and oh my god, I'm winning a race. I tell you what, that is exactly what I'm thinking 90% of the time, it's like, oh my god, I'm winning. Oh my god, I'm winning. Oh my god, I'm winning. There's a yellow flag there, so they can't send any moves behind me. And in this corner here, I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm winning. And I get it wrong, and I go wide, and it clack those tyres a little bit. And I'm thinking, Sam, don't mess it up. Like, you're in a good position here. And yeah, I'm like, because I'm conscious of the drive, I'm just checking straight away. I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm winning. And I'm going a little bit wide again, and yeah, that means I can just make a nice send up down the inside of me there. So I'm down to third already, and yeah, I'm losing a bit of momentum because I'm on the outside, and I'm already down to fourth. So me winning the race lasted about, what, 2/3 of a lap. So yeah, that went well. But yeah, I'm back in my usual habitat behind people. But I mean, how there's so many Class 1 drivers in this race, I don't know. But yeah, I'm right behind Mr. White here, trying to stick with him as best I can. I'm not doing too bad. I mean what? I'm in the fourth position in the third lap behind the 3 Class 1 drivers. So I'm in amongst the best ones here. So I'm fine at the front. Although, albeit I was at the front, dropping back. But by lap 4, Mr. Cochran makes a nice, easy send up my inside at Christmas as usual. But if I'm honest, I do feel like he sort of held me up through this little section here, because I had a much better corner through Ashby there, and I feel like I broke a little bit later, and he's holding me up here. I'm like, no, I've been held up by a Class 1 driver, so I think Mr. Seeger can make a nice, easy send down the inside. Oh man. So I'm side by side with Mr. Seeger here, but obviously he's got the inside, so I've got to yield a little bit. I tried to hold it around the outside as best I can, but it obviously didn't work. But yeah, Mr. Cochran, the Class 1 driver, cost me a 4th position there. Well, I'm shaking my head right now, but obviously by the final lap I've dropped back a hell of a lot, so obviously I didn't have the pace to compete with them at all. But I'm still ahead of one more Class 1 driver, and as you can see, I'm going quite defensive into the corner here to sort of fend off any moves being sent, and yeah, it's going fairly well this heat. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, I'm sort of competing with the best in this one, albeit quite far back with these drivers, but yeah, I've got some decent pace in this one. Maybe, I can't remember if I had a decent car or whatever, I don't know. I just felt I was sort of on the pace of the drivers in front a little bit, maybe, I don't know. Maybe the guy behind me had a poor pace, but I don't know. Anyway, but final lap, final corner, I'm still in 6th ahead of a Class 1 driver on the road, which doesn't usually happen. But it got even better for me after the race, because Mr. Bars had a 4th place penalty, so I'm up to 5th. Look at all these Class 1 drivers, and I'm in amongst them all. When does that happen? And forget about the dicks of this one. Look at me up there with all the Class 1s. Anyway, that wasn't enough, sadly, to qualify me for an A final. So into the B final, I'm in 4th, and yeah, Mr. Cooper and Mr. Ellis are they're in this final as well. So, but what am I on about? Top 2 is a possibility in this race, so that's what I'm aiming for, and trying to stick it down the inside as best I can, and had a much better exit up the hill towards overtaking Mr. Cochran there. So thinking about the early send, but isn't to be. So we're still in 3rd, and yeah, I'm right on the tail of 2nd. So A final is definitely on. I'm going for a little bit of a slide there, so I'm losing a little bit of time. But yeah, let's see how the rest of this race goes. Going into the 2nd lap after a fair few poor corners, I give Mr. Cochran probably the easiest overtake he's had all day. So I'm back down into 4th, and there's a bit of a gap now between that 2nd place that I desperately want. But Again, I don't know why, but I seem to gain a little bit of time on Mr. Cochrane through this section. If you're watching, you could learn a little bit off this little bit here. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. There was a yellow flag, so I had to slow down. So yeah, going out here, I'm right on Mr. Cochrane's tail. I'm having a little bit of a look down the inside there, but wasn't to be. And yeah, just I'm hoping, you know, something cracks up to the first two. They start fighting and Mr. Cochrane gets involved, because I know he's got some solid pace. So if he starts getting involved, he starts fighting as well. So yeah, hopefully something might happen from that, so I can just stick on the back of this. It could be interesting. So at this point, I've just started to get into a groove. I don't know what it is. Just sort of settled down and just focused on my driving. I was determined to try and catch these top two drivers, because I really felt like I deserved an A final at this point, because in the first round I missed out by that ghost penalty. In the second round there was that incident in the third heat, and then this round I feel like I was one position away from being in my first ever A final. So that the incident in the first heat, or losing that position to Mr. Martin in that other heat. So yeah, I've just been so close, but by the lap 6 I'm still on the pace of these front two, and I'm having some solid pace, and the commentary actually picking up on it, which is absolutely mental.
Keep an eye out for Sam Morris as well. Sam Morris has not made an A final so far this season. His best final result is a 6th place in one of these B finals. Did it some useful pace last time around, 54.6. It's faster than both of the top two, and has help from Adam Britton behind. 6.5 minutes to go. And in fact, yeah, Morris and Britton are now the two fastest drivers on circuit, 54.6 and 54.4. I say that, Aaron Clark's just come across the line and done a 54.3. Britton looking down the inside now of Sam Morris, and they're going to be side by side through Boxing Day as well. Surely Adam Britton will have the inside line for Inkermans. Yes, he does. Just as I say that, they were closing in. They've now dropped off a bit as they swap positions. Greg Smith's still in the discussion, I think, for this one as well.
Oh man, I was kind of gutted that he sent a move on that lap there. Obviously I'm not going to be good from going for a move, but I was just like, oh please, when you wait one more lap, we could have been on the tail of those guys at the front. But oh well. Yeah, it's still 5th place in the B final. It still isn't actually my highest position I've ever been, but oh man, it's just so close yet so far every round. Oh man, it's not frustrating to watch back. I just always think, oh, what if? But by lap 11, I've dropped back a little bit from that back up front, and at this point, I really started to get my head down and just like, right, I want to catch these front 4 cars, because if they sort of start fighting, which I know it normally tends to happen come the end of these races, because you know people get a bit more desperate, so they start fighting. I think I'm not far ahead of Mr. Smith behind me, but yeah, he's far enough away so I can, you know, go for the proper racing line, so I don't have to worry about defending. But as you can see, they're all fighting a little bit, and this gap's getting closer and closer. So I'm just thinking, come on, keep fighting, so I can catch up and maybe nick a 2nd place. But Mr. Britton does have a penalty, but I didn't know that at the time. I only knew that afterwards. But Mr. Britton does have I think it's a 4th place penalty. So, or was it a 6th place? I can't remember. But either way, he's got a penalty. So I didn't know that at the time. So I will be beating him if obviously I finish in the position he's got as a penalty behind him. Anyway, going to lap 13, I'm still, you know, that gap is closing now, and I'm just like, come on, keep fighting. And they're obviously going defensive there, and now I'm right on the tail of them again. So I'm just like, right, when do I send it? When can I make a move? He's going for a little look there, but I just lose all my momentum by hitting the back of Mr. Britton there. And what happens now, I really wish I never made this move here, because it wasn't really on, and all I've done is made us both lose time. And then I'm just forced down the inside. I hit that curb, make us lose even more time. Now I'm just under pressure from behind.
The B final.
It is, absolutely. And I'll start with Adam Britton doing a bold attempt getting by Liam Nolan around the outside of Christmas. That's a nice move from Greg Smith through on Sam Morris. And Sam Morris, after having a relatively calm race as well, is suddenly getting a bit mugged here, and he's out very wide there. And that was extremely close to the wall coming out of paddock corner. He's not too happy about that one.
Yeah, looking back at the final corner, I think it was a combination of an aggressive move and me not knowing he was there, so that's why I was a bit annoyed there. So, yeah, so by the end of the lap, I didn't obviously close that gap up, but 7th place is okay.
In his C2 campaign. Aaron Clark was 6th on the road, Sam Morris 7th. That wait for an A final continues, but at least it's again another top 10 for Sam Morris in the B finals this year. Nicholas.
Oh, what could have been, eh? I feel like I'm getting ever closer to an A final. Like, last episode I finished 6th, this episode I finished 4th. You watch the next one I finished 3rd. The one after that I'll be in the top 2 but have a penalty or something. It's like looking down at me and taking the piss. But still, it's my highest ever finish in Club 100 and can't be disappointed with it. But yeah, at the same time I sort of am. But I'm still doing fairly okay in the Dick ranking. I'm up to 3rd now, ahead of Russell and Andrew, who didn't actually turn up today, as he's got all the commitments outside of karting. I mean, come on, who's got? What are you doing? But yeah, I'm slowly climbing the championship somewhat. Doing okay. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and the next one will be out shortly. So yeah, cheers for watching, guys.